Welcome to Soundbite, the podcast where we talk to interesting people in the Maritimes about their stories and current issues. I'm Caitlin Dutt, one of your co-hosts.
And I'm Tim Porter. Well, hello to our listeners, and how's your day going, Caitlin? You having a good one?
Yeah, it's a good week. Things are kind of slowing down in the office with the approaching long weekend.
Oh, yes, the long weekend, yes.
It's nice. Do you have any plans? Or
Not myself on the weekend, no.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm going to PI, so
I heard that, yeah.
Fingers crossed the weather is good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little up and down. But
yeah, it's okay. As long as I have one beach day, I will be happy.
Yes. So we've got an exciting day. We've got the Fredericton Independent here.
Yes, we do. Don MacPherson.
Don.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Don.
How you doing, Tim and Caitlin?
Good to see you.
Good.
So Don's a little bit unique. So the Fredericton Independent is a news organization. Yes. Is that how you describe yourself?
An organization of one, I suppose.
Just so people know what the Fredericton Independent is. Why don't you just tell us that, and then we'll get into other stuff.
I've been a long-time journalist in the Fredericton area for almost a quarter century. But a couple of years ago, I was offered a buyout from Post Media. I was a reporter at the Daily Gleaner. And long story short, I decided to accept that buyout, given the media landscape. And I'd had the idea for an independent online news outlet in the back of my mind, sort of as my fallback in case I was ever fired. That didn't happen, but I decided to give it a go. I was in a position financially and in my life where it was something I could try. And so far, it's proven to be a successful experiment. It's viable as an income. I launched my news outlet, the Fredericton Independent, on Substack. It's a very basically turnkey-friendly platform for journalists to be paid, and people can subscribe to the publication both on a free basis, where they get some free stories and the first few paragraphs of the paid content, and then there's the paid level. And I have a paid subscription rate of about 13% of my overall subscribers, which is, according to Substack experiences, is a really good number. That shows it's viable. And I have chosen to focus mainly on courts and criminal justice issues in my news coverage, not exclusively, but for the most part, simply because that's where I have the greatest experience and the most contacts and sources, and it's really an area of the news that's not being covered thoroughly by other outlets. And I don't say that as a criticism, but as just a reality of the shrinking newsrooms and the diminishing experience levels that come with the elimination of beat reporting. And I've been a court beat reporter for a long time, and I decided I wanted to continue on in that, and people seem to be responsive to it.
So Don's a very unique character in that I think both you and I have worked with Don.
Yes, I think that's true. That might be the first guest where that's happened.
I don't think there's too many.
And for just as brief a periods. Because I was a freelancer when you were on staff at the Gleaner, Tim. And then Caitlin was an intern at the Gleaner while I was a staff reporter.
Right.
So,
yeah. So all of us have overlapped at the Gleaner. That's pretty cool.
So, yes, I did do a little court reporting in my time. And Don, it was always a thing in the 90s that when you were court reporting that people would come up and try to bribe you to keep their name out of the paper. Does that still go on?
Not as much anymore. I think in Fredericton, people have the word's gotten around that I don't do that.
That's good.
But when I first took over the beat, it happened frequently.
Yes.
Wow.
And now there's people, when they approach, and usually it's an email or something now, not approaching in the hall. I understand there's a fee you can pay to keep your name in it.
Yes.
And I say, no, that's not how the news works.
Oh my goodness.
And that's okay. I don't blame people. Like I'm going to be writing about what's the most unpleasant week or month in their lives,
Yes.
or maybe longer. And I get it. You can ask, it's fine, and I can say no.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
I feel like you're a pretty pleasant person where you're able to deal with a lot of these sort of personalities and potential
Well,
situations.
in your experience, I'm a pleasant person. I can be gruff when the occasion calls for it.
Right, yeah.
Defensive if I feel I need to. It all depends on the situation. But for the most part, I find it's easier to diffuse the tension with just being honest with people and say, listen, I get where you're coming from. I don't blame you for asking. I don't blame you for being mad. But but when I was employed by someone else, to say, if my boss finds out I did this, if I take your bribe, I lose my job, and where does that $50 help me then? So,
Yeah.
and people, they can understand that. Me explaining that's contrary to my ethics, which is the real reason, but the people couldn't really wrap their heads around that. So,
What's your day look like, Don? Do you get up and go to the provincial court in the morning, and do you cover everything, or?
I don't cover. I can't. There's no way for anybody to cover every case that's going through the courts. There's several courts, different levels running at any given time. I have a general rule of thumb in the back of my head of what I think is relevant or interesting, and sometimes you're just sitting in court waiting for something else, and what may appear to be a minor case. Something colorful. There might be just some colorful detail, something funny, something ridiculous, something weird that catches my attention, and I start taking notes. But my day actually starts before I go down to court, and typically I'm going to provincial court, but I'll get up in the morning, and the family gets ready to head out the door, go to school get my son ready for school. My wife's getting ready for work, but I'll get to the computer and I'll check to see if anything broke overnight that's of interest. Check the police news release feeds, things like that, chatter on social media for anything major. Most days there's nothing to worry about. Weather alerts. I'll turn a quick weather alert if there's a storm incoming, whether it's a thunderstorm in the summer or a blizzard in the winter, and people appreciate that. And that's something I put out for free. I'm not doing any real work. I'm just checking an alert. So if I'm which is the equivalent of basically turning around a news release, if I'm not calling anybody or reaching out for comment, I don't see that as work. It's just, getting information out there that people should have. And, so I'll do that, then I'll do the Wordle, have some breakfast, and get showered and ready and head out the door. And the night before, typically the night before, I go through the court dockets and see what's coming up the next day, and I plot out my schedule for the day and where I think I should be. Oftentimes, I need to be in 2 or 3 different places at the same time, which is not possible. But I can follow up on cases afterwards if need be, check with sources, and just keep tabs on cases that I think are of interest. And I also receive, like any journalist, lots of news releases, government and private agencies and businesses. And there may be something that's happening that is of interest, and if my schedule allows for it, I'll pop over. I don't often do that, but I try and make opportunities to report something other than court news, because if you follow the Substack, it can be kind of bleak. It's not the most cheery of news reports. Sometimes call it the parade of misery. And if you're only reading the Fredericton Independent, you think the Fredericton is the Wild West, but it's not. It's a lovely community, but I'm only reporting one aspect of the news.
Yeah.
And if it continues to grow, I'll look to bring someone else in, and perhaps, and then start covering things like city council or more feature-oriented stuff to sort of offer a greater variety of content. But for now, I'm plenty busy just with court by myself, and no one else is really doing it except for a select few major cases.
I get your emails. You seem to pump out 3 to 6 stories a day.
That happens. One of my great strengths is that I write very quickly. But I'm doing court reports, and I've been doing them for more than 20 years. I can write them in my sleep, and I'm writing from inside courtrooms. I'm publishing from inside courtrooms. I'm writing stories later in the day to bank to publish the next day. Like I like to have something to anchor my morning, to start the day, to get people reading first thing. So I might write something this evening to publish in the morning, or when I get up in the morning, write a story and put it out 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, and to remind people I'm out here and to keep an eye out.
Yeah,
So
I mean, that's the news cycle of
Yeah.
today. It never really stops. People are checking their phone all the time, so you got to be on top of that.
yeah.
But I do have a question for you. You know, you said you've been doing this for 20 years, and this is often like the worst of the worst in Fredericton that you're reporting on. Assault, different horrible crimes. Does that ever keep you up at night, or has it been tough?
Nope. No,
Okay.
there's something about my personality that rolls right off my back. There's very few cases that have stuck with me. There have been a couple that, were unsettling, but there have been cases where I knew I was going to see something or hear something in court that I knew was going to be really unpleasant, and I worried about how it might linger in my subconscious afterwards. Tim will remember this, the Minto murders in 2005. There were 2 trials in that case, the first one getting scuttled when he was found unfit to stand trial, Gregory Desprez. There was a day we were told they were going to play video of the crime scene, and we knew that we were going to see one of the victims both victims, but there was some really horrendous violence in that. And I was like, if anything's going to stick with me and haunt me, it'll be this. But I haven't had any kind of nightmares or anything. I mean, it's upsetting and it's tragic, and I'm not insensitive to it, but I haven't really been down that path. So fortunately, no, it hasn't been that way. And I've become a father over the year since I started this job, and have my own, I worried that cases involving sexual offenses against children might be something that would I'd have a different perspective on, wouldn't be able to maybe cover it as impartially. But no, I've still been able to stick with that stuff. It doesn't really get under my skin beyond an immediate guttural reaction sometimes, but not in a long-lasting way.
Does the court system embrace you?
In Fredericton, for the most part, absolutely. In some respects, I find that the people working in the system are almost like coworkers. They're not. I'm reporting about things they're doing and things they're working on, but I'm there all the time, and they know me. So there's a certain degree of comfort. And when somebody new comes in, it takes a while for them to sort of get to know me and feel comfortable around me, talk to me, because they have to know that sometimes our conversations are just conversations and not on the record. And I'm down there all the time. I can't burn bridges. I can tell the difference when people are being candid with me in a private one-on-one way and not in an official capacity. And if I'm not clear on that, and I'll say, well, is this on the record? To give them a chance. And they'll say, oh, no. I say, okay, I thought so. We're just talking. But sometimes they're giving me information that you're going to want to be in court tomorrow for this case that's coming up. I can't tell you what it's about, things like that. So for the most part, sometimes I've had to report on people I know working in the system who they get criticized or even getting accused of misconduct, and it can be uncomfortable, but ultimately, they understand I'm doing a job. It's not personal. They're doing a job. It's not personal.
I recall judges saying to me that they appreciated my article and that I did a good job, and that was nice.
Oh yes, absolutely. I have rapport with the judges because it's just natural when you see the same person in your workplace day after day. Even if you're not coworkers, you come to have that sort of similar familiarity.
Right.
So. And I've been around the courts in Fredericton for so long. There are people now sitting on the bench who are prosecutors I dealt with all the time, who were other court clerks and officials that I dealt with in a different context. And so they feel comfortable around me. But they do have to maintain a certain distance in certain respects.
Right. Of course. So you've been, reporting on this for 20-some years, and I know we've all worked at the Gleaner at different times. Can you give us a picture of what the Daily Gleaner was like when you first started at it?
The court beat was a really different beast when I first started on the beat in 2002 officially. I'd freelanced a few years before and filled in on court as well because they knew I had experience with that. But back in the day, the Gleaner on page 3 would have a rail down the side of a page. It was just little court briefs, like rinky-dink shoplifting charges.
In the courts.
In the courts. Tim remembers. And it was very well read. I mean, everybody wanted to see that.
Right. They're like little tweets.
Yeah,
you know?
it was pre-Twitter tweets about the courts, but they weren't typically major cases. And even today, I don't really do shoplifting cases anymore.
Right.
There's just too many, and it would require. I mean, I'd have to be harassing court staff for so many files for information and dates of birth and addresses, dates of offenses. Mm-hmm. So it's just not viable. But it was back in the day, and people appreciated it. And now you don't see that level of court reporting in any, I think, daily newspaper. You see maybe the River Valley Sun. They have some court briefs that are.
Judy does it.
What's that?
Judy Cole.
Yes, that's right. And so people in smaller communities want that information. And it's not just, people think, oh, it's just rubbernecking to see who's down on their luck. No, it's important to cover these things to ensure not only that people are held to account for their actions, but the system as well is treating people fairly, and how vigilant people in the community, the law enforcement, are being with these cases. So there is value in it beyond just, you just want to look down on other people who are, facing charges. They're only facing charges. It's an important part of the process. That's one of the reasons I continue to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see you write some columns every now and then.
Once in a blue moon, I'll write an editorial. Usually, lately, it's been around election type stuff. I'm not a political reporter. I love politics. I've never been interested in being a political reporter, though. Being down at the legislature with every other news outlet chasing the same story every day, that wasn't for me. But
in the scrums.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's one of the reasons I love court reporting. I joke to people. It's like you sit down in the room and everything plays out for you. You don't have to chase people. It's public. The information has to be conveyed. So, but I've written a couple of editorials. Wrote an editorial in the wake of the federal election, the provincial election, on issues leading up when we were in the provincial election cycle, things like that. And those pieces I make free to all readers because I just want everybody to read it and react and see what they think of what I think. So, but I should probably try to do more, but I'm working as much as I want to work, and sometimes if I just get the right hook in my head, I was like, I have to write an editorial about that, but it doesn't happen too often.
It seems like a great setup for you, and you also said that you might, if you continue to expand, you foresee yourself hiring new staff? Or?
Possibly. Part of the problem with that is I don't want to be anybody's boss. I just want to do my thing, but at the same time, I would like to the publication to grow, and I would like to, because people are always asking me, oh, can you cover this? Are you going to do city council? They're interested in that, and I'm interested in including that coverage, but it's not quite at the financial level where I could it could pay 2 people's salary, and I don't want to start bring in an intern or paying freelance rates that are really cheap. I want it to be fair. Right. If somebody's going to make their living writing for the Independent, I want them to be able to make a living at it. So I've had people offer me free content, and I turn it down. I say, thanks, but it's not that there's anything wrong with your content. It's that I'm just trying to not take advantage of people, even when they want me to do it. I just want it to be as above board as possible in terms of, one of the reasons that one of the things I keep telling people is that journalists have to be paid for professional work. A lot of people complain about the paywall on a lot of my content. I said, that's fine. How do you want me to earn a living at this? I'm not selling advertising because I don't want to be an ad sales rep either. So, and if the subscriptions hadn't sustained the income, maybe I would have explored that, but I haven't had to. So I said, if you want professional journalism by people who know what they're doing, you have to pay for it. You're paying for CBC journalism through your satellite packages and your taxes. You pay for a newspaper journalism for your subscription, or you pay at the store to get a copy. Why shouldn't I be paid? And people seem to understand that, but the internet's also taught everyone that everything should be free. So
yeah. No, I really respect the paywall. Like I feel like there's some conversations where we have Facebook and we have Instagram, and there's just news that's free all the time. I mean, you don't even see news on Facebook or Instagram anymore because of Bill C-18. Are you concerned that people aren't consuming as much news as they were before because of this advent or otherwise?
I'm of two minds about that. One is about general philosophy and the importance of news and information, and one is out of complete self-interest. There absolutely should be sharing of Canadian news on the social media platforms, and I think you're going to see it come back because it does help Facebook monetize stuff. I mean, the Facebook and other social media. But the ban on Canadian news has served me well because I haven't been caught in that net.
Yes.
My links are still accessible on Facebook.
Okay, nice.
So, and I get a lot of traffic from sharing short summaries and links to my stories on Facebook groups. Now, the Fredericton Independent page got shut down, all the content removed, but the links are still shareable. So I'm hoping that nobody from Facebook is listening to this podcast. I hope it's listened to far and wide, but not all the way down to Silicon Valley.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not yet.
But absolutely, it's unfortunate that this is still in effect. It's my understanding something similar happened with Australia a few years ago, and it got resolved, and the ban was lifted. And but right now, our federal government, its attention is focused elsewhere.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I would
just a little
say
bit.
perhaps justifiably, there's some major issues happening in the world right now. But hopefully it'll come back around and this will settle down and become more normalized.
Yeah, yeah. On top of that, too, there has been this. I've been keeping track of the Edelman Trust Barometer. I don't know. Do you know the Edelman Trust Barometer?
Not at all.
All good, all good. So it kind of is a global survey of people around the world, and if they trust politicians, if they trust businesses, if they trust journalists, and journalists are very mistrusted in this day and age, and have actually exponentially that distrust has increased since 2019. Have you felt that? I mean, court reporting is a little bit of a different beat, but still.
Well, I think it's a little different in this context because this is very local journalism, and I think people trust me. It's not that all sentiment towards me has been positive. I get a lot of negative sentiment, but it's because I'm reporting things that people don't want reported.
Right.
They're not saying it's untrue. They're saying they don't want it out there. Well, that's a different thing. But I get a lot of encouraging comments as well, and people seem to appreciate the work I'm doing and keeping them up to date. I get people messaging me, what happened with this case today? What happened with that case today? And sometimes I say, oh, I'll have a story tomorrow, or I wasn't able to be there today for that proceeding, but I'm following it next week when it comes back, or something like that. So people are interested. The reasons for their interest vary to personal interest and spite, or just general concern about some significant issue unfolding in the community.
I guess that goes to show that like hyper-local journalism is really maybe what we need to refocus on, or what do you think?
I don't think it ever completely went away. The problem is that the larger media organizations are misunderstanding, in my opinion, the marketplace and the hunger for news. Post media is completely restructuring, and for good reason. Newspapers were an advertising business, and the journalism was just something to put around the ads, but that was their business. But that's not the case anymore. Advertising is not the revenue source it once was. And now they're shifting, you can see it at least with the post-media sites and publications, to subscription-based for the content, which is where they should be shifting. But if you're going to do that, why are you cutting out all your content? You're shrinking your newsrooms down to 1 or 2 people, and now there's not enough content. I'm a very fast writer, fairly prolific, and I'm outpacing a full-fledged newspaper with the amount of content I'm putting out. Now, some of it's different. I'm not doing political stories that require more time. I'm able to turn a lot of stories because of the nature of court. Mm-hmm. But it's still... I would still be at the Gleaner if they weren't shrinking their newsroom so much.
Yeah, it's tough.
I just figured, okay, I'm not going to get to do what I like to do anymore if the newsroom keeps shrinking this much. So I might as well strike out on my own. I might as well take a buyout package and try my own thing rather than quit in frustration in 4 months and not have anything to show for it.
Did we get to your numbers? How many eyeballs do you have?
I don't want to be too specific. I have more than 6,000 overall subscribers, most of whom are free.
I see.
Okay.
And then I have a solid percentage of paid subscribers that is growing every month.
Right.
It's going in the right direction. And that's without a lot of effort in terms of promotion. I'm sharing my links on social media, and there's always new people discovering me every day.
And how do we find you, Don?
I'm on Substack. It's the Fredericton Independent. Substack is a platform that a lot of journalists are using, but other content creators as well. And the address for the version on the web is ftonindependent.substack.com. A friend of mine set up a shortcut a couple of years ago. I'm not sure if it's still active or not, but it might be, called the shortcut is fton.news. But I haven't checked that in a while, so I'd have to verify if it's still working. Mm-hmm. But Substack's an app as well, and a lot of people absorb me on the app.
Nice.
And if you go on Substack, download the app and search Fredericton Independent or Don MacPherson, you'll find me, and then you can subscribe either on a free basis or on a paid basis. Also, Substack does a lot of the promotion without me doing anything. They offer some people, if they're following me on a free basis, they say they'll just randomly, here, you can access this one for free. Subscribe here and you'll get access to this full article for free. And that might be enough to pull them in. So, and then they also offer paid subscribers. Here's a gift subscription you can send to somebody. So, and at first I was taken aback by that, but it seems to be working out. So it converts people.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We're into overtime with Don MacPherson, the Fredericton Independent.
Yes.
And
Welcome
Don,
back.
Is
Don,
sudden death overtime? I hope not.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So, Don, you said you didn't do political reporting, but Caitlin and I were talking a week or two ago about Maine and tourism, and I noticed that Governor Janet Mills was in town earlier this week and did a news conference with the Premier.
The news media portrayed it as a little bit of a chilly reception. I don't know how true that was.
Yeah,
but
I think the two leaders are very friendly in terms of their politics, but they have different messages.
Yeah.
Whereas the governor of Maine put up billboards, and they're trying to attract New Brunswickers and Quebecers and to come into Maine and have their vacations, whereas Susan Holt stopped a little short of that and said, well, I'm not going to necessarily advocate you do that, and that we have our own tourism objectives. And
it's hard when, Janet, she can't control border services, border control as, just the main governor. So
yeah, and I think that was pointed out to her in some of the question and answers. Yeah. Are you a big vacation guy in the States, Don?
I'm not really. My family and I had been talking about going to the States a few years ago. My wife was like, we really should take the boy to Disney. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we were getting ready. Okay, let's do it. And then COVID hit. So
shoot.
That was that. And then Trump was reelected, and it was like, okay, we don't really want to go down to Florida right now.
Well, he will be 17 by the
and the boy is aged out. He has no interest in Disney, so that's just never going to happen. But it would be nice to someday go down there. Actually, my background in digital publishing goes back to taking jobs with .coms in the States. And I worked in Manhattan. I had a job in Manhattan for 6 months, which was a great and fleeting experience because they had no business plan. But I knew it was going to be short, but I said I might as well have the experience. But I'm not. My wife and I agree. It's like we're not interested in going to the States. I mean, I'm a journalist, and they're going to look at my phone, and I don't write about U.S. politics, but I've written about New Brunswick politics.
Yeah.
And there are issues that have unfolded in New Brunswick that are hot button topics in the States. So I'm not interested in trying to go to a country that I may not be able to get into. It's not that important to me.
Oh, that's fair.
As for the governor's visit, I don't know the ins and outs of what the goals of the various parties were, but I think whether it was a chilly reception or not, I'm not sure. But I think everyone got a message out that they wanted to get out. And we know that Governor Mills has a lot of issues with Trump. She stood up to him in Washington. There have been lawsuits, and she wants the message out there. It could be she knew very well what the Premier of New Brunswick was going to say, and she knew that these billboards aren't going to solve their tourism problems.
Yeah.
But it could have been about sending that message along down the line. It's like, we're trying, but you're making it impossible. So wouldn't be enough for her to just complain about the problems that his policies could cause. It could be about her showing, see, we can't get over this hump because of what you're doing. That could have been her intended message. I don't know. Yeah. That's speculation on my part, but I think there's probably value in it regardless of the result.
Are there any other issues that you track? Is there justice reform? Is that something that you would write about?
It's something I should be writing about. I haven't written a lot about larger justice reform issues that are unfolding, and there are several. We're about to have a new program in New Brunswick. The province is hiring 3 justices of the peace and has enacted legislation to allow that to happen. We haven't had them before. And their role will be just to conduct bail hearings in New Brunswick to free up judges from having to do that. And they would be held virtually. The justices of the peace would be in 1 or 2 cities, but the people in custody will be all around the province, and they'll be for courts all around the province. And conducting it virtually is viable in this day and age. We have the technology, but I don't know that they've ironed out the legal issues because bail hearings are almost invariably, not always, but 99% of the time, subject to bans on publication and broadcast of evidence presented in those hearings and the judge's reasons for their ruling on the bail hearing. So how can you have it broadcast on the internet for other participants, be parents or family members, the prosecutor, journalists, to report? It has to be an open proceeding. The law requires that. But how can you broadcast it if there's a publication ban? I don't think they've hashed that out yet, and I don't think they've sort of realized that hurdle is down the line. The program has been delayed couple of times. I think maybe later this year it's supposed to happen, which probably means early next year. But I've been meaning to delve into that, but I haven't had the opportunity yet.
Fredericton's a little unique in that it has a First Nations within its confines, and there's some issue in terms of bylaw enforcement from the Fredericton City Police, who was do you notice that issue?
It came up, I think it was last year. I don't know a lot about it. It's certainly a tricky situation. And we see it elsewhere in New Brunswick. There's a similar situation with the Oromocto First Nation. It's within the confines of the town of Oromocto, but the RCMP police down there, and it came up last year with an issue over drugs in the community. The band council in its I guess it's really Willowmuckatuk First Nation or Mukta First Nation colloquially, and they passed resolutions to exile certain non-Indigenous people from the community, from the First Nations community, and asked the RCMP to execute those resolution orders. But the police don't have any authority to do that. It's a challenging situation both for those communities and the police. And there's the legal issue, and then there's sort of the reality of how it unfolds. The police can't take action, but they also can't cross a line legally, but they don't want to alienate these Indigenous communities who are asking for their help in desperate situations. So I kind of have sympathy for everybody from all sides of it. I don't know how it gets resolved. Mind you, it's not, even if you take out the Indigenous aspect, there are times when people will call the police and say, I need this guy out of here. But if he's not committing an actual crime and there is no evidence provided, the police can't just pick somebody up and take them away because somebody doesn't want them there. I mean, if it's their property, they can be removed. But if they don't want them hanging out in a park, well, okay, but it's a public park. So
I guess the legality's the thing that's up for debate there, but...
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the police want to ignite any greater conflict, either philosophically or even physically, in those situations. It's a very difficult situation to navigate, and I wouldn't know where to begin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we've run overtime. You made it through overtime.
Okay.
And Caitlin, how do people find us?
Yeah, so we are recently now on Apple Podcasts. You can also find us on Spotify, and we're broadcasting on CHSR radio at 11 a.m. on Saturday. So every Friday on your streaming services and every Saturday on your radio.
Okay. Well, it's great to catch up again, Don, and don't be a stranger.
Yeah.
I won't be.
Nice to see you,
Have
Don.
me back sometime if you want to talk about some other stuff.
Sounds good.
Like I say, I could go on for hours.
It never stops. All right.
Thank you for listening to Soundbite, a production of Porter O'Brien and CHSR 97.9 FM. Special thanks to our podcast host, CHSR, our sound editor, March Rojas Velasquez, as well as Adam Porter, who provided our theme music. You can find all our episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts under Soundbite, and you can follow us on Facebook, Blue Sky, and Twitter at SoundbiteNB, as well as LinkedIn under Soundbite Podcast.